Hello everyone, I'm the Whiskey Enthusiast. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something different. We've not done this on this channel before, but we do it in our whiskey club all the time. Old versus new. What you do is you find an older bottling of the same whiskey, 70s, 80s, 60s, whatever you can find, compare it with the modern version. You can even do it with recent changes, like label changes of the Taliskers. Some people have done that, of Glenmorangies, whatever. But, you know, we kind of try to find one from a couple of decades ago, so to see what has changed, what has been lost, what has been gained. And in our whiskey club, when my friend Iker brought me this Ballantine's Finest from the 80s, early 80s, I thought, yes, great opportunity to do a side-by-side. So here we are. Hopefully you'll enjoy this experiment. I don't know what we'll achieve, but it's just a fun little thing to see what has changed. Now, what do we have? We have the Ballantine's Finest. Now, I'm pretty sure you've all had or seen a Ballantine's Finest before. It was one of the first whiskeys I started drinking. I enjoy the Ballantine's house style. I love the 17. I think it's fantastic. I love the 7 on a hot summer's day with some ice on. I think it's a good profile. I enjoy it. And the master blender, Sandy Hislop, is just a fantastic guy. He answers your questions on Instagram. He's just a relaxed dude. So go check him out. It's Whiskey Blender Dude, at the Whiskey Blender Dude, I think, his Instagram account. Right, so I'll just show you this one. This is the Ballantine's Finest from the early 80s. A little bit of research shows us that. There's like codes under the glass. And also, this is 43% ABV. I know US has 43% ABV right now as well, but until 1988, the Scotch Whisky Act was saying the bare minimum of strength is 43 in Scotch whisky, whereas now, as you know, it's 40%. So this is the modern one. I grabbed myself a small one, so there's some label changes, sure, but this is 40% ABV, whereas this one is 43. Now, Ballantine's, as far as I know, are the only company who claim that they have not changed the what do you call it? Not the mash bill, but what is it called in Scotch? Like the prescription, the ingredients, whatever, the formula. Formula was the word I was looking for. Since this was first bottled in 1910. Bold claim, is it correct? I don't know. They say it has about 50 different malts, including the Glenbergie, Milton-Duff, and Glentalkers, and grain whiskey as well. Now, another thing to consider, because this is from the early 80s, pre-whiskey lock, but about to go, I'm assuming this one has more older stock and higher malt percentage than this one would. Malt whiskey in the 80s were not very expensive. Was not in many big demand, you know. That's why the whiskey lock happened around mid-1985, I think. And it collapsed. A lot of distilleries were destroyed, including Port Ellen. Well, not destroyed, but stopped production. And because there was no demand. So, this is my information. What is difference? Just the label is a bit different. But like I said, this is 43% ABV. And the only difference I would say is by appointment to the late Queen Victoria, the late King Edward VII, which is pretty cool. But still, you know, metal cap. Well, this one has the that thing there right now. Horst, the master, Horst Luning struggled when he first came across this one. He was reviewing the Black Label Sherry Cask. It was a funny moment. I don't think he's ever seen it, but it's pretty common in my market. He was like, why doesn't it pour? Why doesn't it pour? You have to do a little bit of a thing. I already poured, so both of them can get airs out, airs in. And because this was part of our whiskey club's, not offering, but a member of our whiskey club, I am drinking from our whiskey club's glass, the Whiskey G. There you go. Can you see? Yeah, perfect. You can go check out our Instagram at the Whiskey G as well. And the first difference, I would say, is the color. Can you see? From, yes. This is the older stock. This is the new one. And this is much lighter. Now, caramel color added is, this one definitely has one. I don't know about this. Either it has less or it doesn't, because I don't know when it started being introduced, but it may have not been present in the 80s. So which way should we do this? Should we do this old versus new? Let's do it. Start with old first. All right, let's go on the nose. Pepper. A bit shiny, bright notes. Not much. Youth, I'm getting, not much. Yeah, I get grain notes. Citric. Floral. Very floral. And light, zesty, spicy, floral, a little bit of a yeasty nose. Now let's go on the nose of the modern one. Wow, big difference. Okay. More grain forward, that metallic shiny note, but more honey notes. Nutty. The spice is less. Still zesty, but more honey zest rather than floral and herbal zest on the old one. Syrupy. The sour notes are more strong and a bit more off-putting on this one than the old one, whereas the old one's sour notes were coming from like zestiness. Right, the new one feels sharper, the old one feels rounder on the nose. And a hint of smoke I get from the old one, whereas the new one, it's more light, honeyed, bit caramelly, and a bit more bourbon forward notes on the new one than on the old one. Let's see it on the palate. Wow. Okay. Feels a bit higher than 43. The spiciness is really apparent. It's mouth coating, but it's strong honey. Yeah, honey wax, nutty honey, and yeah, like honey nut Cheerios, a bit malty, beeswax, and a really strong honey note that wasn't much apparent on the nose. Yeah, on the nose is floral and zesty, fresh fruits, grapefruit, orange, mandarin, lemon zest, but on the palate, really strong honey notes, honey wax, a little bit of nutty, a little bit of malty. On the finish, short, medium. Leaves you with a little bit of a honey sweetness. Now let's go on to the modern one. Slange. Less spicy, much more easy sipper. That 43%, that 3% difference makes a difference. But it's a bit nothingy. You get a little bit of a cheese note, but nothing so strong, no sour. The honey notes on the nose just completely gone flat. A little bit of a astringent, a little bit sweetness. Really short finish. I used to really like this one when I first got into whiskey. I enjoyed this a lot. I mean, it's not a bad sipper. It's just not complex at all. And, you know, very light on the palate. I would say the grain component has definitely been increased on the modern one compared to the old one. Old one feels heftier and more robust on the palate than it does with the new one. Gone. So, yeah. Okay. Let's do one more round, but I mean, nose, now I get back to it, this is feels much more rounded, much more robust. Whereas yes, the honey notes are apparent on the new one, but the shiny, bright, metallic notes you associate with young grain whiskey is really coming forward. I mean, this is their budget entry whiskey. This is as cheap as they come when you go to House of Ballantine, so you know, it's not surprising. Let's go onto the palate on the old one again. Really waxy bee honey notes, honestly. Yeah, the spice is less, well, now my palate got acclimated, but it's really spicy, but cinnamon spice, not black pepper, not cracked pepper, cinnamon spice. But the, you know, the beeswax is fantastically forward. I really enjoy that palate. It's nice. If you give me this blind, I would probably say it's a blend, but you know, I think there's older stuff in here. It is non-age stated, but I'm pretty sure there's some good good stock in there age-wise. Whereas the new one, I mean, the new one on the nose just screams unblended Scotch with a high grain content, whereas the old one doesn't. The old one feels much more robust. Yeah, this became a bit bitter now, and on the back palate there's a bit of spice that was similar to the old one, but it's really flat compared to the more nuanced notes of the old one. The modern one is really flat. It will go well with you know, whiskey highball, a little bit on the rocks, some soda, some lemon. It would do its own, but to drink it neat, you don't really get much other than a little bit of a sweet, grainy, shiny alcohol. You get a little bit of a, if I really dig deep into it, a little bit of a peach, and maybe dried apricot notes, but really you need to dive into it to actually get that. So yeah, and you know, this was a fun experiment. Do I have the necessary functions of nose and palate to say that the formula has changed? No, I don't. And if they claim to it's not changed, who am I to say they're bullshitting us? It's definitely different. Definitely different. There is a character you can associate with both of them. You can taste it, but it is really far off from each other. Now, as far as I know, the old bottle was kept in a nice and cool and dry place, and has been open for that long, so that's good. But you never know, it could have a little bit of a bottle effect. It could have been a very hot place at some points, and or this one could have had a very cold spell while the bottle was kept. We don't know these things. But yes, it's from the same family, but I can't really say they're exactly the same. They are different. They're very different. The color's different. I'm really liking the palate on this one. Really nice. It's a really well blended whiskey. This is not bad either. And now, maybe I've been drinking them together so much that they feel similar, but I think we all agree that nostalgia is better, the old ones are better. I'm going to say the old one is better than the new one. It definitely feels much higher malt content and the finish is longer. What did we get from this video? I don't know. I think I just had day drinking with two blended whiskies. I think that's what we achieved from this video. I hope you enjoyed this, and guys, thank you for joining me. If you like this, hit that like button, please. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And tell me, have you had Ballantines in the 80s? Did you do something like this, a comparison? Tell me what your thoughts on that. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.